Hey there, everybody. Welcome to my video of my League of Extraordinary Trainers Week 3 battle. This is versus the Golden State Wooloos. They are headed by Incog. And let's go ahead and get started with this, I guess. Just to let all of you know, this is several weeks after the fact. I've been busy with life and just plain exhausted mostly. So, we'll be doing late post-battle commentary. Alright, so Incog has brought Rotom Frost. Rotom Frost. I can't remember that thing's name. Umbreon, Vaporeon, Lycanroc, and Turtonator. God, what is that thing's name? Thwacky. There we go. Thwacky. So, on the paper, it's actually a pretty weak team, but all the teams are because this is low tier. Yeah, so we're not allowed to use any of the higher tiered Pokemon in this specific format for LET this season. So that's why you'll notice outside of Xurkitree, my team is kind of lower on the end as well. It looks like I decided to bring Swoobat, Xurkitree, Gigalith, Vileplume, Flareon, and Claydol. So let's go ahead and see what I have decided to do about this. So I'm thinking that my first lead is probably going to be either Gigalith or Swoobat. If I could say what my mindset was at this battle back then, that would be amazing. I tend to second guess myself all the time. So it's why I lock in my first choices so I don't have the opportunity to. Otherwise, I just take forever. But anyways, actually with Choice Scarf Xurkitree, he might be elite too, because he doesn't have a ground type. So that's an easy Volt switch out just to prepare for whatever he has on the field first. And yeah, it looks like that's what I went with. Alright, and my opponent was actually taking longer to decide on his setup than mine, so whether that's a good thing or not is up for debate. Oh, but he got it. Alright. So, depending on what he sends in right off the bat, most likely I'll probably be Volt switching out. Vape Nation. I don't expect he would have stayed in with this thing, so I probably still would have Volt switched anyways. Meanwhile, checking the team just to make sure that I am right still, that there's no ground type on his team that I somehow overlooked. Alright. So, for those of you that don't know, almost all of our games have to be played on a 10-minute your time timer instead of the regular casual battle 20-minute timer, or is it 30-minute? Either way, this timer tends to last a lot longer than the casual timers. Just because it's based on your time, which only includes you making decisions, not the animations or anything else like that. So, people take maybe 30 seconds to make a decision. That's only 30 seconds taken off of it, and it's taken off of their time, not their opponent's. So, effectively, there's 20 minutes to this match, period. But it's only based on decision time. So, what do I want to send in against this thing? He's a Fire Dragon, which sounds cool on paper, but actually comes with quite a bit of weaknesses, one of which being Rock. Getting our Sandstorm up just so that we get some chip damage going down too. And it looks like I brought the Curse set Gigalith to this one, which does not appreciate that Will-O-Wisp at all. Ugh. I always seem to forget that fire types actually pack Will-O-Wisp from time to time. It's not just a ghost thing. I wasn't expecting that now, and I probably wasn't expecting that then either. But in all honesty, I mean, this Turtonator is still done, even with the burn off of Gigalith. It would have to be packing rest in order to be able to do anything about Gigalith at this point. Oh, we're taunting. He doesn't want me to set up stealth rocks with my near useless Gigalith. That's alright, though. We're going to go in for some damage and just get this thing out of the way. Maybe. Does Sandstorm take it out from this point? I don't think it does. Oh, it did. Well, there's one passive KO for Gigalith. You would think that with Sandstorm, I would be getting a lot of those, but actually Gigalith has not been doing as much damage this season. I mean, he's a great wall and check to a lot of things, but yeah, it's hard for him to score any KOs, especially when he has a tendency to get hit with these status conditions. Now, Vaporeon. We've got only one Pokemon that would want to come in on its water attacks, especially if it's actually focused on damage. And that would be Vileplume. However, stipulation on that, most water types learn an ice type move. But it's better than losing Gigalith right off the bat, even if it's burned. I still have to put up Stealth Rocks at some point, or at least attempt to. And he predicted the switch, went for Ice Beam, and nearly KO'd Vileplume in the process. So that's definitely not a good thing. And that is significantly more damage than I would expect, but I am remembering this match somewhat, and I believe that Vaporeon was choice spect, which I didn't really think of too much at the time. Or maybe I did, and that's why I'm switching to Flareon. Because Flareon can tank special attacks. Not great thanks to its HP stat, but enough so that resisted attacks don't deal that much damage. And Flareon only has a few resists. Ice being one of them, though. Now the real question is what move do I decide to do, because this thing's probably not staying in, is what I was thinking. Yeah. And if he swapped out Nightcrawler, which would mean Umbreon, I believe. Shiny Umbreon, my favorite shiny Pokemon. It's simple, but I love it still. And that thing is the entire reason why I brought Flareon in the first place. Because Flareon was my only real good coverage move to hit Umbreon with. Provided that it was specially defensive. If it was physically defensive, well, Flareon is still my only real option. But yeah, my opponent's not the only one who can predict switches, at least. So we took a good chunk out of that Umbreon, which is a huge concern for my team. As I said, that would be hard to break. Oh, we are protecting. Which means this is probably a wish-passing Umbreon. Plus, it's got the ability to get leftovers up. And with my -1 attack stats, not to mention toxic damage building up, this could turn into a real problem. So here we go with Superpower again, just because I really want this thing out of here. Because if he stays in, predicting me to swap out due to damage and lowered stat reductions, then Umbreon is free to set up a wish and get all of its health back. Which he didn't. That does mean that we're hitting Superpower against something that probably can tank it better. Like this Thwacky. Oh yeah, it tanked that pretty well. That even looks like an Evilite, even with the -1 attack stat. That still should have done more with Guts. But that's alright. I partially want this thing out of the way just because it's got priority move, which nullifies the Choice Scarf on Circuitry. So that would probably be my play here. Vileplume's almost dead, but it quad resists any grass move. Granted, he wasn't going to hit a grass move, probably. Oh, knock off. I'm pretty sure I was also going for, hopefully, an Effect Spore to go off as well. Just because all of Thwacky's moves are contact. Alright, so we got Swoop-Bat out. Now the real question is this thing going to bother staying in or not? I am a flying type, which means I have a significant advantage over it. Oh, we are back to Nightcrawler. And that was a critical hit. That is a very, very sad special attack stat. Our regular attacks probably actually just get healed based off of grassy terrain and leftovers, which means he can wish without a blowback from that. But there's not much I can do with Swoop-Bat while this thing's out on the field. Because even if I got set up, judging by the air slash damage, it would probably only do 50%. Even at max special attack stat. So yeah, Swoop-Bat, unless you could KO it from here, which I wasn't expecting because that was about the damage it did with the critical hit. So now we'll get some passive damage going, which, I mean, gives Umbreon a free turn to Wish, which I am not a fan of course. And now it just gets to protect. If it wants to. It could do something else if it really wanted to. But thanks to leftovers and grassy terrain, we'll actually heal Gigalith past the burn. Since I'm expecting Protect this turn, I'm guessing... What do I decide to do? I decide to do Curse. Oh, we withdrew. Who are we going back to? Vape Nation. This Vaporeon is the bane of my existence. So we're going to Curse in front of a Vaporeon. Not great. But I have no idea what I do about this situation, in all honesty. Vaporeon, or Vileplume's already gone, so... My main absorber for a water type move is gone, which he can probably just spam now. Ugh, I think I'm starting to remember that Vaporeon is the bane of my existence. Yeah, here comes the Surf. Gigalith might live this thanks to Sandstorm. Did I say it would live it? I meant Vaporeon is going to sweep me at this point. I don't have much of a choice at this point except to just try and force this thing out. And I mean, I could deal damage, but I'm not stopping this thing. Not from that amount of health, because Vaporeon has a lot of HP and a decent amount of special defense. And now we've got Rotom Frost incoming, who can absorb the electric attacks. Quite well, in fact. Oh boy. And since we're stuck on Thunderbolt thanks to Choice Scarf, I really don't want to stay in on this thing. Meanwhile, it can either Volt Switch out or attempt to, which I think is why I swapped to Claydol. which it did. Now Claydol can try and do something. And I keep going back and forth between Teleport and Dazzling Gleam, but... Alright, we're teleporting out. Not that it'll matter, this Blizzard probably KOs at this point. Oh, nope. Claydol is still healthy enough to come back any second time. The real question is what do I send in next? Nope, we're going straight for Flareon. I mean, Flareon resists the Blizzard, and Volt Switch probably won't KO Flareon, but with that toxic damage, it's not going to last much longer. And he can swap to Vaporeon whenever he wants. Which I'm sure he's going to do. It's either Vaporeon or bring Umbreon back out. Because Umbreon is pretty useless as a switch-in now. It's low enough and slow enough that it would be KO'd by whatever I have on the field, probably. And I think my opponent is figuring that out too at this point, it seems. He's trying to preserve his Pokemon so he has a better differential against me. Provided that he wins. Oh, nope, he decided to stay in. Flareon lived, but thanks to us thinking he was going to swap. Ooh, critical hit. I probably actually needed that. Not that it matters, Flareon's gone, which means my main check to the Umbreon is also done. Which is fine if we don't have to... I can overpower it with Swoobat or Xurkitree at this point, but Swoobat has to set up first. And Xurkitree has to not be hitting Energy Ball. Alright, so Thwackey gets to come out against Xurkitree. Not a great setup, but I can't do much else. My last three Pokemon are in no shape to take this thing on. And besides, if we can get some chip damage without getting Xurkitree hurt, because if he doesn't click the Grassy Glide, looks like he did though. So that's going to be a lot of chip damage right there. For no real gain, unfortunately. That does mean, however, that we can put Swoobat in for free. I am not able to set up, though, unfortunately, which is my main concern. Because this thing's running priority, it doesn't matter that Swoobat's faster than it. It can get it down to 1 HP and KO it from there. Ugh. But yeah, this match definitely does not look like it was ending well. Oh, he let us do it. Guess he was confident he could live. Which he did. And I didn't even get a flinch for that. Come on. Well, there's the Sash, but that hardly matters, because 1 HP is still going to be 1 HP. The good news is that the Thwackey is low enough that Xurkitree can come in and KO it. But we've already seen that Thwackey one-hit KOs it with... Not one-hit KOs it, but KOs it from where it's at with 1 Grassy Glide. So we have to waste the Grassy Glide turns before we attempt that. And I honestly doubt my opponent would let me do that anyways. Because at this point, actually, Thwackey just KOs me with Grassy Glide on everything. Yep, didn't stay in. Lycanroc. Alright, first time that we've actually seen the Lycanroc in this battle. But, Scorching Sands, if we manage to live this next attack, Crunch. Now, Lycanroc has a respectable attack stat. I don't know if I would consider... If Claydol had been at half health, it might have lived that Crunch. But then again, Life Orb's there to make sure it does just that. Live stuff like that. But at this point, I just have to hit Thunderbolt and hope I KO everything. And we're Scarfed, so we know we outspeed this thing, because we saw its Life Orb too. There's no Sand up. And I'm assuming he brought this thing because of Sand. But if speed were a real issue for me dealing with this thing, I mean, in the beginning, I at least had checks to it. Oh boy, and Circuitry just went down. Well, that's unfortunate. You forget about Accelerock sometimes just because Lycanroc's the only one that actually can use that attack. Alright, in comes Swoobat. Here to save the day, right? Because I'm sure he can. And this was back when I first started having Roost on him, which is a terrible idea in all honesty. I've never gotten an opportunity to use Roost on Swoobat. He has no defenses to heal back. It's either he sweeps or he dies. Those are your two options with that thing. Alright, at the end of the day on this battle, though, it looks like Incog won with 4-0. So not great, and it ended our winning streak of 2 from LET. But that's alright. It was a good match, and if I remember correctly, I was having a hard time thinking of how to try and beat this team anyways. So, it looks like it went about as much as I would have expected. Alright, but with that, we'll be back next time with Week Battle 4 for LET. So, I will see you all then.